So we have Kevin Mitchell on the live tonight. Yes, Kevin Mitchell.
Where's your mate?
Yeah, my man. You made it on.
First time on it.
My brother. And listen, I was worried about you getting TKO'd by the Wi-Fi or something.
I've got the Wi-Fi going.
Mate, that's not a good look if you've got, like, you know what I mean, 39 wins on your record and then the Wi-Fi knocks you out.
The Wi-Fi is what we had before, I'm telling you. The Wi-Fi is useless.
Listen, it's brilliant to have you on. I'm really, it's an absolute honor, I must say, an absolute privilege to have you on my Insta Live. And I'm also streaming on YouTube Live as well, simultaneously. So it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. For those that do not know this, brother, this is Dagenham's finest, the destroyer, the finest fighter in East London, never to win a world title. Speedy, spiteful technician, tosses opponents around like Ryanair luggage at times in there. He was always on you. You needed a restraining order for this guy to get off of you inside the ring. 39 wins, 29 KOs, and only 4 defeats. This is Kevin Mitchell, my people. Are you missing boxing, Kevin?
I don't miss it. I feel what I did in my career. I had a really hard, long career. I was like 12, 13 years as a professional. I had about 10 years prior to that being an amateur. It was a long old road to walk down, but I enjoyed myself. I fought well. I wanted to become like a legend out of Dagenham, out of East London, and I did that. So what I'm doing now is coaching. So that obviously fulfills a lot of my time and gaps in that. When you're a boxer, you've got a lot of time to fulfill, like a lot of time spare, a lot of empty space. So now I'm coaching. I'm really full on hands on my fighters. I'm busy all day. I get home late, very tired. So it fulfills what I'm doing now, yeah.
Yeah, man. Listen, I mentioned that you're the best fighter, one of arguably the best. Some people say Errol Graham, the best fighter to never go on and win that world title. How does that make you feel when you hear people say that? Does it fill you with joy or a little bit of disappointment?
No, it's still wild to see. To be fair, people say to me about being the best fighter to never win a world title out of Great Britain. But for me, I'll just say, people ask me, I say, that's Errol Graham. I look up to my old school fighters. As a young man, as a young kid, I used to study my boxes and things. I done a lot of studying, a lot of watching. I used to sit watching box sets when it was the old cassette days. Remember the cassettes?
Yeah. God dear me.
Every cassette of every old school fighter, I used to watch and study them with my dad. I used to watch and study so many fighters. And yeah, you know, it's just one of them things, you know, it's part of my career. It's a part of my life, and you've got to face what it is.
Yeah.
If I was one of the best not to win a world title, it says a lot about me, doesn't it?
Yeah, mate. Listen, I thought you was an exceptional fighter. Listen, let's go back to the start. You went on I think it was about 32 fight kill streak. When did you get to 32-0 or something, or 30-0?
31-0. At the time, it was the longest unbeaten record in Great Britain. Yeah, but you know what? I had a lot of things going on. I was boozing a lot. I was consuming a lot of alcohol in my career. I was out partying a lot.
Yeah.
And that was a really big downfall. Looking back at my career now, is how I lived my life back then. I was always out on the party scene. It's pretty crazy that I was out on the party scene and I was a professional sportsman. A lot of people from my generation, though, lived like that. So we did it. But yeah, obviously the wrong route down, the wrong way to walk down that route sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's you know, I don't know how people can do that. But listen, I myself, I've loved the boozing and I've loved the partying over the years, and it's an easy trap to fall into, right?
Yeah, most definitely. You're a young kid coming from like council estate areas, got no attention, no money. Then all of a sudden you become famous, you get loads of money, you get attention. You get caught up in all the hype of everything. And basically, looking back on it, I teach my fighters not to do what I did. Do as I say, not as I did. So a lot of fighters in my generation, in my time, we lived like that. A lot of footballers did. A lot of friends of mine are famous footballers. We all partied hard. And that's how it was back then. But as I said, do as I say, not as I did.
Absolutely. I absolutely love that. Listen, your 31-0 kill streak, it was longer than my Duolingo streak. And even when I play Call of Duty, I can't even get 31 kills. I mean, it was brilliant. And you were really highly rated at the time. No one really wanted to fight you. You was dangerous. You know what I mean? You were like dynamite. You were dangerous. You were rebooting people like they were Windows 95. No one really wanted to fight you. There was a few names sort of kicked about for you to fight. And then you came up, your first real tough, I think it was a WBO world title, wasn't it? Against Ricky Burns.
Yeah.
Talk us through that fight and what went wrong that night.
Well, basically, prior to fighting Ricky Burns, I was offered the fight before Ricky Burns. I think I boxed Katsides for the WBO interim title and got beat.
Oh, you fought Katsides? Yeah. Yes, you did. Yeah, Katsides was a killer, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, but a long time after, and obviously I got offered a fight back to fight Katsides again over Ricky Burns. I just fought John Murray, not John Murray, out for all told him out. So I'd been and done drinking sometimes. So obviously I was a bad, terrible drinker, drinking a lot. The first fight back, I fought John Murray, he was ranked number 1 in the world in the weight division, which I knocked John out. Then I got offered a fight from the Warrens to fight either Katsides or Ricky Burns. So for the same money, so I weighed up my options who I fancied at the time. I was warm in the gym, I was training hard, I was working, I was off the booze, and I fancied the Ricky Burns fight. So the Monday comes round, and I forget a phone call saying that the Burns fight can't be made. Some reason or another, the Burns fight couldn't be made. So then I was basically left out the ring. And back then, if I was left out the ring, I'd go back on the booze. I'd go back boozing again. So I went back boozing, and before like 10 months had come round, around that sort of time, 8 months, but I've been badly on the booze, that type thing. And I was offered the Burns fight again. So then again, I've gone skint, run out of money, tax bills coming in. Mortgage is going out, obviously. I took the fight, but obviously, looking back on it now, from knowing Ricky and how I was with Ricky as a mate, as I trained with him as I got older, Ricky Burns lived like an animal, mate. He trains like a champion, like a proper champion should do. How I trained late on in my late 20s was how Ricky Burns was doing it all the way through. Ricky Burns is a proper world champion. He's a free-weight world champion for a reason. And I'd like to, I always say to my young fighters that are coming through, like Sunday Hardy, Fred Pullen, like my son, I say to them, you've got to work extremely hard, work harder than the rest. And only when you work with someone like Ricky Burns, you understand the hardship of the sport and how hard you've got to work to become a world champion. Cut from a different cloth, I'm telling you.
Yeah. So I've jumped a bit. Really, your first defeat was actually Katsides. I was at that fight. It was at Upton Park, wasn't it?
It was Upton Park. It was the biggest household ticket sales. I'm pretty sure Frank once said it was the biggest household ticket sales in history for a non-world champion selling tickets. Yeah. So it shifted a lot of tickets that fight. I think it was 24,000 there.
Mate, I was at it. It was, the atmosphere was incredible. And that Katsides, that brother, mate, he was knocking, like, he was just taking out the Brits at the time, wasn't he?
He was a beast, you know, he was a gentleman, but he was a real beast. He was a tough guy, very strong.
I'm gonna have a look at. He fought everyone, didn't he? Like he fought. I'm trying to.
Nearly had one man, Mark was out there. Nearly not Mark was out as well.
Yeah, mate. I'm just looking at his record now. He'd been in with Manuel Marquez, Robert Guerrero at the time, who Casamayor. Graham L. His fight with Graham L. was just like one of the fights of the year. He'd been in with you.
Graham L did very good with him. Graham L did that.
Yeah.
Really good with him,
yeah, that was one of the fights of the year at the time. It was one of the most unbelievable fights. Yeah, I mean that fight. That was for the WBO interim. Yeah, he just had a work rate, didn't he? His volume that night was just.
He was strong. I had a lot going on with personal life. I was out boozing. The training camp didn't go to plan, obviously, but there's no excuses. I was a young man, obviously, got family troubles and things, family issues. And I was getting the booze heavy. I was out partying. I wasn't training. I should have been training. As I said, I lived the party lifestyle most of my career anyway. But when you're stepping in with them elite fighters that train like that, you come to realise how good they actually are.
Listen, when did you start getting into the booze party life? Because when you was a young kid. Remember when you had like, your spiky hair? Yeah. When you had your party, you was a spiteful brother. Like you just looked like you enjoyed brucking people up.
I think I started boozing pretty through to the. I don't really speak about it much, but pretty through down to depression in like the early 20s, 22, 23. I think I struggled with being very well known, being famous and things as a young kid. Being known, I think I struggled with that, the booze heavy. I just struggled with the whole scenario of being a pro athlete.
Did the fact that you had...
And back then, nobody spoke about depression, you're forgetting. So basically, all we all did was just hit the booze. I think we all did it the same. Like a lot of my friends I speak to now, ex-boxers, I went out with my mate Ricky Bowling the other day. I was talking to another friend of mine, Brian Crashband Taylor the other day. Back then, depression wasn't really spoken about. We just went out and got on the booze and did the booze there, and got ourselves around that way and got off the booze, got back into training for the next fight, got our money to earn money, and it was like that back then. That's just how it was. Nobody spoke about depression until I was probably about 29, 30, and I was ready to retire, really.
Did you have the pressure of, like, because you was like West Ham's golden boy, and you obviously had the football fans behind you, and at the time they were rowdy, they were all boozers. Was it like, come on, Kev, you're one of us, you know, and you kind of sort of were susceptible to the booze?
No, it wasn't to do with my West Ham crowd. No, it's more to do with me doing it. I swept all my mates out. half my mates got ended up divorced and split with their missus because of the lifestyle that's come with it. It's a bit of a hectic, crazy lifestyle. And to be honest with you, I don't blame anyone other than myself and not understanding what was going wrong with me. I was probably a little bit ADHD. Obviously, ADHD wasn't even heard of when I was a kid. So, like, 100% I was ADHD, boozing, partying, highs, lows with the career. Just a part and parcel of being a boxer back then. That's just how it was.
Let's talk about one of your highs, the John Murray fight. Now, honestly, that was an unbelievable fight. If I remember right, I remember that fight. I swear that brother was unbeaten and he was like mashing everyone up, wasn't he? Do you know what I mean? He was
basically, he was unbeaten in about 31 bats.
He was 31-0, yeah.
I'd had a year and a half out on the booze. I'd been on the booze for a year and a half. I basically got off the booze and got myself back in the gym. And most people were saying to me, my family, my mum, my dad, my brother, was going, Kev, let's have a warm-up fight first. I said, no, listen, I've got my head ready for it. I'm not off the booze. I'm clean. I can beat him. So I took on the fight with him, but on the promise that I'd fight Brandon Rios for the world title after. So it was the winner of that should have fought Brandon Rios.
Yeah.
I'm not John that. And then John went on to fight Brandon Rios for the world title.
I was going to say, yeah, mate. That fight, I mean, I think it was the 8th round. You knocked him down. And that was a savage fight. Like, that was a brutal, savage bruckerage. It was like a really brutal fight, that was. And was that your most satisfying moment in the ring, that fight?
I think it was the fight that won over a lot of my fans. Obviously, my fans were very happy with me getting that fight, that comeback fight after getting beat. It was, let me tell you, when you're in them wars and that, and you're in tough fights, and they're very hard fights, grueling fights.
Yeah.
It ain't easy. People think like, oh yeah, I definitely was meant to do this, but definitely meant to do that. But it ain't the case. They're very hard, grueling fights, and they're nip and tuck. Very thin line to walk over. So it was very tough. I can remember being in the fight, digging in. And I remember the turning point. I hit him with a hook left kick to the body, left uppercut to the head. And I heard him grunt. When I heard him grunt, I thought, I've got you. I've got you. We was talking to each other. Me and John are very good mates. We're very good pals.
Yeah.
As the fight's going on, we was talking to each other. We was trading off talking to each other.
Well, yeah. I never understand how people talk to each other during a fight. Like, you just get out of breath talking to someone when you
just for the mind, try and really I went to I've got you.
Yeah. What were the words that was exchanged? What was the words that was exchanged, Kev?
It was taunting me, saying me, he's got me, you're running and all that type of thing. And I was going to just keep saying, I was just saying some things like this, like, you'll watch, you'll see, watch this. I go, there you go, whack, the landing shot, I go, there you go, whack, there you go. Just putting just like little mind games, playing mind tricks with each other type thing.
That's brilliant, man. That's absolutely brilliant. I forgot as well, you beat Breidis Prescott, who knocked out Khan in like a round. You know, like, was that before the Khan? Was that before the Khan fight? It was after, wasn't it?
It was after he knocked Khan out. About 8 months after he knocked Khan out, I moved up to the weight. was meant to fight Rocky Martinez for the world title, the WBO world title.
Yes, Rocky Martinez was decent. Yeah.
But I couldn't make the weight no more. Struggled to make the weight, so I moved up to lightweight. I'll never forget, they brought me into a meeting into the what was it back then? It was Frank Warren's office. The sports, I forget the name of his company back then. But anyway, and Frank Warren said to me, "What do you think about fighting Breidis Prescott?" At the time, I was a hefty tax bill. I was working on the underground doing nights. I said, "How much?" And it didn't even cover my tax bill, that fight.
Oh, really?
Yes. I said, "Yeah, I love it." But I remember, I'll never forget the fight because I remember sitting in my hotel room the night before the fight. And I remember sitting in there with a friend of mine called Wayne Wakefield. And it comes on tomorrow night at the Royal Albert Hall. Rod Stewart sings live. And I looked at my mate and went, let's look tonight and went, what I'd give to be able to sing at the Royal Albert Hall tomorrow night. Breidis Prescott. It just not kind of 7 months, 8 months prior to that.
Yeah, so
we just started laughing. That's the hardship of the sport that nobody understands, like things like that, like being owing the taxman money. You've heard Kawasaki speak about, like, he was like 21 bats unbeaten, and he was still owing bills and debts to everyone. He said, our career, not everyone gets to negotiate that business law and gets it right. Not everyone knows how to negotiate properly, but it was an hard career, you know. It was a very hard career, a very hard job, but it enables me to do the job I'm doing now. That's to look after the young fighters, bring the amateurs through. I'm opening up an amateur boxing club in Upminster. Bring Mitchell's boxing gym to life. And God, the next kid's coming through, the next champion's coming through.
Why is it fighters are getting themselves in such a pickle with the tax man, in your opinion?
Because we're not businessmen, we're just boxers. You go into the life as a sport, as a kid, as a sport. You have a dream of wanting, I'll never forget it, watching Nazim Hamid, watching Nigel Benn, watching Frank Bruno. These guys are my mates now, but back then they were my heroes. Watching Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton was another hero of mine. I can remember getting on the train going to, I think it was London, with one of my mates was Stewart, watching Ricky Hatton fight. I remember getting on the train. Years later, I was fighting on one of his bills and becoming mates with him for years. Ricky, like, it's mental. Like, it's just, I think we're sportsmen, we're boxers, we're not businessmen. And I think boxers that ain't businessmen, they don't understand business, they don't know how to negotiate, they don't know their value, they don't know their worth, and they definitely don't know what they're doing with their money, with how much should they be saving, how much they should be spending, how much should be saving the tax man, things, just little things like that. But boxers don't really know how to do things like that. I was definitely one of them.
You see a lot of sports men and women, we've seen Tyson, we've seen Evander Holyfield.
Footballers, all kinds of people.
Yeah, footballers going bankrupt, I
think nowadays you've got to think like wealth management now, like lots of sports stars like AJ, don't quote me on this, but like Conor Benz, they've all they've all got management on, like helping them out with their financial things. So it's different now. It's a lot different. But I think there's things in place now to help boxers more so than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just quickly go on towards the end of your career. I mean, you've been in with some absolutely star-studded fighters. Again, I was at the Jorge Linares fight. I've been at a few of your fights, I'm actually thinking about it. A couple of your big ones. I've been at the Katsides one. I was at your Jorge Linares fight, and I really fancied you to pull that off. And you almost did, really. You had him hurt.
Yeah, if you think about it, I was winning. I was up on the.
You were winning, yeah.
I was up on the rounds on points. It was another fight. It was a fight I fancied. I remember saying to Eddie, I want the Linares fight. He was like, what? You want to fight Linares? I said, hey, get me the Linares fight. If I'm warm. And when I was under Tony, I was very structured. The enemy structure was so good, Tony. I was very regimented. It's very regimented. The training was regimented. And I need that structure. And that's how I still coach my fight today. Structure is everything. Structure with your runs, structure with your sparring, structure with your strength conditioning. It's very important for young fighters to have structure. With their diets and everything. But yeah, it was another fight. As a fight I fancied, it was a fight I knew I could win. I definitely knew I could win. I watched him tactically, and I watched how he works, how he moved, how he fought. I can watch him refight how they're thinking. And he done some sort of a podcast. He said that Kevin Mitchell was one of the toughest, hardest, most hard-working fighters I've ever boxed against, and that's what he said about me. So I was trying to get the rematch for him, but obviously I didn't get the rematch. But it's something I was wanting, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you gave an unreal account of yourself in that fight. that was another grueling fight, and you had a lot of grueling fights. One thing I just got to skip back because I didn't ask you this. Why did John Murray get the Brandon Rios fight and you didn't, even though you won?
I was offered. I spoke to Katsides. I was at a charity thing, a children's charity. I'll never forget. I was at a children's charity outside Big Ben ground, outside Big Ben, and doing it for children's cancer. And there's for me, my cousin Crystal is for son Mitchell. Little Mitchell passed away of cancer. It's one of my son's classmates. And Katsides rang me and said, Kevin, whatever you do, when you take and negotiate for this fight, do not take nothing no less than 300,000 sterling. I said, is that what I said? Anything under that, do not take money. Anyway, you'd not believe my offer. The offer was far less than that, like ridiculously far well less than that. Like,
really?
Yeah, and obviously they'll offer you the money because obviously I know you're not going to say yes, and then John Murray obviously got the fight.
Yeah, you're just like, nah, if the papers ain't stacking, I ain't there.
Yeah, of course, yeah, obviously the money's like, and that's how it goes on a lot of a lot of fighters' careers. Unless you're like, you got your contract written, right? Which I was a kid, didn't have a tour about negotiating contracts, didn't have a clue about what I was doing with contracts. Always through my career, I wasn't really good with that. But yeah, so that's what I've learned. I've learned now as I've been older. I've learned how things work and how things go because of my mistakes as a pro. Yeah, definitely.
Listen, after the Linares fight, and as I said, I was at that. What a fight! Again, that was one of the fights of the year. Incredible. The whole night of fights was brilliant that night. But then you fought Barroso, and you lost to Barroso. Did you realise that in your mind that, look, I've had enough of this? Because that was your last fight.
I remember being at a sublime mill years ago, and I was with Katsides, and Katsides said, one day, nothing will motivate you, Kevin. I said to him, money will always motivate me. After the Linares fight, I was asking to try and get the Anthony qualifier. And I really badly fancied the qualifier. I knew, like, tactically, it would have been a good fight for me. It would have been a great fight for me, a great match. It weren't a really big puncher. It was a good box fight. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a good box fight. Very well ran, quite steely kid, but it was a fight I really fancied. Nevertheless, it still would have been a very hard fight for me, but it was a fight I fancied. And then I was asked to fight Barroso. I didn't know much about him. I couldn't get up for it in the training camp. I trained for it, don't get me wrong. I never forget Barry O ringing him up and going, Mitchell, what's this I hear you're bloody 3 kilo overweight? I mean, if I have to come down that gym and give you a kick up the backside myself, I will. I said, Bazza, I said, I ain't pie and mash. I'm sorry. I just lost my mojo. I went into the fight not knowing much about him. He was a big puncher. If I'd have known more about him and known like after like 5 rounds that he sort of fades, I'd have gone in there for 5 rounds, ducking and diving, bobbing and weaving, just kept it basic and not get involved. But I tried catching him early, walked onto a shot, he was heavy-handed, and obviously over it went. And the next thing, I sort of remember coming round properly in the dressing room with John Wilder. John Wilder like, had his arm around me, giving me a cuddle sort of thing. We had a bit of banter, me and John Wilder. I said something like, thanks for the support, John. It didn't last too long, did it? And, me and John have always had a lot of banter with each other. And, yeah, it's just one of them things. I lost my mojo.
Had enough.
I started getting training after that for a European title fight in Italy. It's not for bad. The European title fight was for over 3 times the amount of money I was offered to fight Brandon Rios.
Wow.
So I still turned it down.
Why?
I knew my career had come to an end. I lost me. I was doing. I'll never forget. It was my last day in the gym was a Friday. It was the first time in my life I felt like quitting. I never quit. I never let myself quit, but I felt like quitting. I never forget getting in my car, going home, and crying my eyes out, driving my car because I felt like quitting. I knew I was coming to an end, but I didn't want to like upset Tony Sims by telling him I couldn't do it no more. So I thought I'd let him down. So then I remember coming into ringing Tony on a Saturday, saying, Tony, I've got to tell you something on a Monday. I want to tell you face to face, do it to speak to you. So I went in to see Tony, and I went to Tony like, I ain't quitting no more, mate. I said, that ain't in me anymore. And when Tony said to me, good, I didn't think you had it in you for the last fight either. It made me a lot more happier.
Yeah.
You know, I had an upset him type thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, like, listen, you had a stellar career. Couple of quick fire questions then for you. Hardest fight?
Carl Johansson for the British title when I was 22. He broke the jaw and I broke both my hands.
Oh, Carl Johansson. He was the man to beat at the time. Brilliant fight that as well.
He was beating everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, no one would have fight. Malik Safa, everyone in the weight divisions. Everyone stayed clear of him.
Yeah, he was from Leeds, wasn't he? Wasn't he from Leeds? Or...
From Leeds, yeah.
Yeah, badass, yeah.
He beat the granny out of me, but I got him in the end. I got him late.
Yeah, I remember that. Blimmin' hell. Yeah, what a
22-year-old kid.
Mate, forgot all about that kid. Wow, what a fight he was. Hardest puncher you've been in with?
Hardest punch I've been in with, I'd say the most I've ever been hurt in a fight, physically hurt, was Carl Johansson.
Most satisfying win?
When I beat Daniel Strider for the World Title Eliminator, WBC World Title Eliminator, and I knocked him out.
Hardest sparring partner?
Hardest sparring partner, I'd say John Wilder.
Yeah, the gorilla. The gorilla.
He was a beast.
Biggest regret in boxing?
Biggest regret, I'd say leaving Tony Sims when I was 18, making the wrong decision with the wrong promotion team. Back then.
Any advice you'd give to a young fighter coming through right now?
Keep away from drink. Pick your professional coach wisely. Work extremely hard. Work harder than the rest.
Yeah.
And make sure you've got a good manager you can trust.
Yeah, beautiful. Listen, just quickly, your team. So Tony Sims was, obviously you just said that, you know, leaving him was a big mistake. How much did that brother mean to you?
Pardon?
How much did Sims mean to you?
Yeah, everything. As a kid, like, he was a bit of a father figure when I was a child. From 15, I was getting in trouble. Frankie Sims is like, he's not a relative to me or Tony, but he was a man, he's an old man, he was a very good man to have around me at the time. He was a bit of a mentor as a kid. I was getting in trouble, getting to no good, and he basically pulled me aside and said, put me with Tony Sims as a kid. They started giving me jobs as like doing like gardening, doing like painting, decorating. Little do I have any clue about gardening. Little do I have a clue about painting, decorating. But they were showing me the right way to earn money and the right way to do things without getting in trouble, keeping me out of trouble, keep off the streets.
Yeah.
And as a kid, that was a massive thing for me. Like being mentored by them sort of people, that's great.
Legendary. And you're coaching now. How do you find coaching compared to fighting?
I prefer coaching more than fighting. I get a massive satisfaction out of coaching. Even though mentally for me it's stressful, you've got to learn to be patient. You've got to take your time with certain fighters. You've got to understand characters, which obviously everybody's character is different. Sometimes clash with kids, but you've got to try and work around that. And bring the best out of every kid. So which isn't an easy thing, it's an hard thing, everybody's different.
Do you try and teach fighters how to fight how you fought, or do you adapt depending on the strengths and weaknesses of what you're working with?
Depending on the style, like Fred Pullen's very tall and rangy southpaw, so I teach him to move a bit more on his feet, start on his feet a bit more rather than deep dive, bob and weave. But like to my son Connor, obviously I've got Sonny Hardy, I make them slip and slide. I make sure I learn like I've been working off the jab, moving the head, not getting it. So if any shots are coming home, land on the gloves, they're catching them or they're reflecting them. Yeah, depending on the style, I work towards their styles.
And let's just talk about your new gym. You're opening a new gym. Can you tell us more, please?
Well, just as it goes, there's been in the pipeline. So prior to my brother dying 6 years ago, I was building a gym in Bethnal Green, but it was going to be a business-based gym for boxing and sports type thing. But it ends up working out. My brother died 6 years ago. Lockdown came in. I had a good few years of getting my head straight again and getting my head together again. I've got some help from good friends, Alex Kalakas, few numbers, Kai Fella, Lawrence Pemble, a few of my friends in the city, a few of my friends, my mate Bill, my mate Tom, a lot of my friends that help me get the business plan all set up and basically helping me do things that I'm very poor at. Structuring business, really. I'm good in gyms, I'm good with basically with people in the gyms. And I've been doing this now for about 3 or 4 years, getting that sorted. I've got the premises, I've got the space. The build starts the end of this month. And I'm looking on doing Upminster's first ever amateur boxing club. That's something I'm very proud of. Saying that I've never been proud of my boxing career. I've just been to a girlfriend of mine, a girlmate of mine on the phone. I was just saying to her, like, I've genuinely never been proud of my boxing career. I've never found that thing I've ever been proud of. That's just generally God's honest truth.
Wow.
Boxing, fighting, I found easy. I've always been good at fighting. But to do something that scares me is to open up my own business and open up my own amateur club. Start working with kids, try and work with kids in schools that are in gangs, try and change kids' lives and be a bit more like people like Mickey Mays of the world, people that make a difference, the Tony Burnses of the world, people that actually do a lot of work with kids and help kids transition, bring them through from like schoolboys to juniors to men's to then pros. So I'm also working with management in my gym. There's a lot going on. I've got a mate called Mark Taylor. He's helping me a lot. Another friend of mine called Steve Baines, massively helping me out a lot. Yeah, so like, as I wanted to be a big boxing star when I was a kid, I've come to realise it wasn't what I wanted to be. As I've got older, I'd like to be a bit more of a coach, mentor, and help kids guide them through their lives. Because life isn't sometimes, it's not always easy. Sometimes it's hard.
Last question on the coaching.
Yeah.
It must be frustrating though when you get like a young kid come in and you see that he's really good. Like you think, look, this kid could be good, and he's coming in stinking of booze or stinking of fags, and then you don't see him again for a few weeks. And you don't see him again for a few weeks. That must really be grating, mustn't it?
It's more, see when you got a kid like that, it's more not about teaching them physically. It's like, see when I had Fred Pullen come to me, Fred Pullen was naturally a gifted fighter, good fighter. But he was so angry that his anger controlled his boxing. So it's more about getting into some fighters' heads more than actually coaching their boxing. Once you get into their mind and break into their head and get them to understand things, why not to do this, why not to do that, because I've done this, I've done that. It takes more, a thing like that's more of a process. It takes time for kids to trust you. And then as you're talking to them, the first like 5-6 months, they don't trust you, they don't get into it. It might take a year to get into the kid. Once you get into the kid, you then gain their trust. You then, before you know it, you've got on boxing role. You've then got on winning fights. You then got on winning titles. Before you know it, they're boxing for England. They then win the ABAs. They then turning pro. So like,
brilliant.
It's a bit of a process. It don't happen overnight. It takes time.
Yeah, brilliant. Listen, it's fitting to finish on Ricky Hatton. That brother meant a lot to you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Ricky, the hitman Hatton, he almost fought quite similar to you, actually, when I think about it. Like, you had quite similar fight styles, a little bit.
When I first started Ricky, I was in Russia. I was 15, and I knocked the Russian out. And I remember the Russians saying, like, along the lines, he's like the white Mike Tyson. So I remember asking like the England coaches, like back then, which was Terry Edwards.
Yeah,
it was Terry Edwards, and I remember saying to him, "What do they mean, the white Mike Tyson?" They said, Back 4 years prior to this, every 4 years we do the show England v Russia, and we had Ricky Hatton out. He knocked all the Russians out. Well, I knocked my Russian out, but I broke my hand, so I couldn't fight the second one. So that's me and Ricky Hatton. Then about 15, about 2 years after that, my mate Ross Stewart, who I call the Fat Rat, he bought me tickets. He was working, he was a bit older than me. He bought me tickets to go and see Ricky Hatton fight live. I'm sure it may have been in the Excel Centre, somewhere in London.
Yeah.
So I remember being a kid on the train and thinking, God, I'm on the train. And it weren't long after that I'd made my pro debut, and then I've obviously been around Ricky a lot, been on the shows, I've been watching him. And the best night I've ever witnessed live in my whole life watching boxing was when he boxed Costa Zoo. That was my best ever atmosphere I've ever been to. I've been to some mega fights.
Were you at that fight, were you?
I was sitting with Russell Crowe that night, the Cinderella man.
Yeah, wicked.
I was with my two boys' mother. She was sitting there, and then I was in the yellow jumper. I had a bald head, a big head. And Russell Crowe was sitting next to me. I was talking to him about a lot of boxing and things. But that was the bestest night of my life ever watching a boxing match.
Yeah, what a fight.
We've been friends with him, drinking around, like we've been out for a few drinks together, shows and things. He was a lovely man, gentleman. Be fair. I've been in bits ever since I found out about it. I've been quite emotional.
Yeah, I think the whole boxing community has. I was at the Eubank Ben press conference in London a couple of weeks ago, and there was a tribute to him. I've seen nothing but tributes to him. I did a tribute video myself on him. Tributes left, right, and center. He was the people's champion. You know that 30,000 Brits went to Vegas when he fought Mayweather. 30,000 Brits went to Vegas. That's incredible.
He done it all the time. I think he kept bringing them over to Vegas. He was non-stop. He's been, for me, like for my generation of fighters, for the ones I know, he's got to be one of the biggest boxing stars Britain's ever seen. This sort of thing. Like, it was massive, wasn't it? Like, if he took 30 to 30,000 to Vegas, I never forget watching Sports Personality of the Year. I think he had just boxed. I'm not sure if Kawasaki won it or if he won it. I think it was Kawasaki. And there was a night before that Ricky Hatton boxed, so I could tell it's like all their mates, they're all standing next to the MGM ring. I'm pretty sure it's the MGM ring. And they've all been on the booze, they've all been on the gat, and I can tell they've all stayed up. I remember thinking, I wish I was with them. Yeah. Ricky, that fella was a legend. Like, he's obviously one of my heroes. Growing up as a kid, watching him, and obviously becoming a friend of his is pretty amazing. Watching his fights, there's a lot of his fights ringside, and watching him win a lot of his fights. He was one tough man. He was a wonderful human being. I'm just gutted. I've been emotional ever since. And the day after I found out, when I was a kid, I used to keep boxing photos of boxers on my bedroom side cabinet. Like it'd be Frank Bruno, Nigel Benn, Chris Eubank, Nazim Hamid, Barry Mugugan, all like my heroes. And and basically I looked up to me what I've got on my bedroom unit is my arms around Ricky, Nigel Benn, Frank Bruno and Joe Kawasaki, and there's a photo of all of us. It reminded me of being when I was a kid when I used to look up to my heroes, and they're all my mates now, but like still nevertheless they were my heroes, you know what I mean? So yeah, it broke me heart. It definitely broke me heart. Me and my mum were going to be going up Friday to pay our respects to the family and to Ricky's family.
Yeah, it's a soul taken way too soon. You know, a soldier taken way too soon, and you know, I'm fearing the worst because there's not been much reports about what's actually happened, and you know, I'm fearing the worst, if I'm honest. You know, rest in paradise, Ricky Hatton, man. It's a huge blow, like, you know, for all of us that have sort of, you know, I've been out on a drink with that guy before, you know, in Manchester.
I've got my mates brothers have been out with him, like my sisters have been somewhere with him. I remember we were doing a charity do for James Paisley one night, and it was Johnny M's done it. Johnny M's put the charity do for him, and basically it was a park of charity do. All the boxers are there. Basically, I've been on the booze in Montfort. And I've come
as you do.
I gate crashed the birthday. I found out he'd been on the booze in Southend, and he'd gate crashed the wedding. So everyone's actually gone to where Billy Joe playing with us. We had that side. We had like all the Scousers, all the Scouse boxers had their side. You had like, I think David A was there. There's a lot of boys there, and I was all there to support James Paisley. And me and Ricky Hatton, we weren't stressing out warming up. Was in the bar warming up on the Guinness.
Oh yeah, brilliant. He loved the old kid. He loved the old Guinness.
He was lovely man.
Yeah, lovely man. Listen, Mr. Mitchell, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I don't want to take too much of your time, and I really appreciate you coming on for this interview. Listen, one thing you got to promise me though, when you open your gym, you've got to invite Gunman down. You've got to invite me down there, and I'm going to do some pads with you.
I'll be looking on to open the gym roughly. Mitchell's boxing gym will be open around about New Year's, January, February time. I'm looking on.
Yeah.
The Upminster's Amateur Boxing Club will probably be a bit later than that before I get that all set up for that.
Yeah.
But, the gym will be open around January, February time. 100%. I'll be doing a big weekend of opening day weekend, getting everyone in, getting all the members in, getting everyone in to see what it's about and what I'm building and what I've got coming on. Yeah.
Yeah. Please send me the details of that so I can post it if you want me to. And also, I'd love to come down. You've got to take me on the pads, man. That'd be my dream. You taking me on the pads.
I'll get you on the pads. Deal. We've got a deal.
Okay.
Shake.
Shaking it, mate. All right, lovely. You're the man, Mr. Mitchell. Thank you so much. Bless up, my soul. Yeah, top man. Quality. That was Kevin Mitchell. What a real bad man. A real gentleman of the game. Absolute legend. Hope you enjoyed the watch along. Bless up, my people. Gunman Boxing. Like, comment, and subscribe and support the channel. Peace out.